Hello, everybody. What's up? This is going to be the first stream in a very long time. We might put this up on my channel. What's the channel called? Reveal Gnosis. This is my good friend Laurier. He has expertise in all things health and health related and special stuff, mysterious stuff, just like me, mysterious Chris.
Esoteric sciences.
Esoteric sciences and shit like this. We are eminently qualified to talk about the things we were just about to talk about. We don't have any qualifications, but we are uneducated, educated bums. I like that. That was a good. You came up with that, didn't you? A good potential name for a channel there.
Well, the thing I said was that because we've both had reason to kind of sort of educate ourselves in different ways. I mean, I suppose we've had an extended pandemic situation where in the pandemic, lots of people sat around and started falling down that rabbit hole. We've done that our whole lives.
I started to come off of the level of media that I was consuming, like online YouTube media that I was consuming, because it was doing my head in for a bit. And I went to my mum and dad's place because they don't live too far away, as you know. And I'd had enough, and it was pretty consuming with the level of conspiracy related content that was coming out over the first year of COVID. And I didn't really want to engage with that stuff, honestly. So I started just doing it. My mum and dad have a cycling wheel in the bedroom that I was in. So I just got on that a lot. Started walking around.
Cycling wheel. You make it sound like a hamster wheel.
Cycling wheel. One with two wheels
Exercise
on it.
bike.
Exercise bike. That's right.
Big hamster wheel.
I know. I didn't sleep very well last night because I got up for the obligatory pee at about 3:00, and I had a little look on YouTube there and Timcast and stuff, and it looked pretty good for Trump, man. It looked pretty good for Don there, and I started to just watch, and then I couldn't unwatch, and I ended up not sleeping again. So
what's the final tally now then?
I'll have a little butchers, mate, and have a look online. I think it's he's fine. He's won the presidency. He's won the Senate by a fairly decent margin. It's just the House now. I'm not sure if he's going to flip the House. If he does, then it is just blank checks all the way, and a really strong Republican presidency for the next 4 years. Let me see here.
The question is, do you think it was a vote for Trump or a not vote for Kamala?
Results. I think it was definitely no. People like Trump's base just really, I think they wanted him to win again. He has a really hardcore contingent of supporters there. 1982. Yeah, it's not really shifted.
However, there were a lot of on the fence people, weren't they? That was kind of.
Well, there are people, lots of people, and people even in the UK. I was watching a news stream here this morning, and there was a news presenter who was saying like she hated Trump back in 2016. It was like, no, this can't happen. It's going to be a terrible few years. Oh my God. Oh, wow. This is terrible for America and the world. And of course, now she's praising Trump. And it's obviously they wrecked the situation Biden just wasn't fit to be president anyway. But with electing Kamala to the premiership, it was just an absolutely terrible idea. The girl was not fit to really run for president, and I'm sure she's good at certain things, but this was not one of them. She had no press conferences, I think.
I think a lot of people are just suspicious about her as well. They're just kind of deeply suspicious, kind of that.
I think
she says one thing on the surface, then
yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure if she really wanted this. It was just that they had absolutely nobody else Buttigieg, I mean, was a potential candidate. I think what, a couple, maybe one or two other people. I don't know too much about. I don't really know that much about American politics, honestly. I just know that now a lot of people are breathing a sigh of relief in the States. I don't know what's going to happen later. I'm assuming there'll be some kinds of riots.
What do you know what happened in New York? Because I think that's an interesting. Because
like just
no, in terms of where they voted.
Oh yeah, like there were 30 or 40% of New Yorkers actually turned out for Trump. It happened in California as well. California, 30% of the population voted for Trump in California.
Well, you know why? In New York, that's the immigration issue, isn't it? Because they've been shipping sort of migrants into New York out of other states. I'm not sure which other state it is that's been doing it. Is it Texas that were doing it?
It would make sense, wouldn't it? I mean, given that that's one of the primary states that migrants move into first off, first through the borders and stuff. I mean, they're talking about mass deportation starting quite soon, and I think Trump definitely wants to do this thing right this time. This is going to be a legacy for him when you think about it. It's a big deal, and he still has energy. He's still got some oomph in him. Lots of people are looking.
How old is he now? Is
74?
I thought he was older than
72, 74, something like this. He's in his 70s for sure. Is he older than that? I can't. Can you check it out? Can you just check that out?
78.
Far out, man.
Yeah, 78. He's well, I mean, to be fair, he's doing pretty well for 78, isn't he?
Yeah, man. No, for sure. It's crazy. Well, I mean, I'm not one, so I just hate party politics these days, man. I'm not one for party politics. I'm far more interested in what's happening, right? Fundamentally, just reasoning from first principles.
Well, I think I was always kind of that way. I mean, I never we had a lot of disagreements, or not disagreements, but debates about politics. I was always sort of more kind of on the sort of
on the left.
Well, no, center kind of, I suppose. Well, not even that. I just don't believe in sort of party politics because I disagree with too much. I kind of value the ability to disagree with anything, and party politics, you have to toe the line on certain things, don't you? So
there's a certain amount of ideological deadlock. I love that term, ideological deadlock. You reach when, I mean, I'm quite left on certain views. I'm fairly paleo-liberal, really. I want people to have freedom. I want people to express themselves and self-define. I don't have a problem with that particularly. I just don't want to see this spill out into classrooms in institutions where the fallout can actually have impacts on people who don't yet fully know and understand how, I mean, for example, children and so on. I mean, how they are, evolving and getting on is dangerous if you're going to try and push certain things. And the levels of left wing and like far left institutional kind of capture across the West today. But in the United States, I think is quite shocking. This was a big thing with this presidency as well. Me and some friends were saying just a few days ago, and we've been saying it for fucking months, if Trump hadn't made it this time, the possibilities of the Democrats just forcing naturalization for lots of migrants and not doing anything with the southern border, again, might well have skewed the demographics in such a way that they would never have been able to. It would have been a one-party state. They would never have been able to take power again. And then you're
was that not part of Labour's plan? New Labour.
I mean, yeah, I suppose in the long run, I mean, I don't think it was ever stated outright that was their plan, but one of their plans certainly was to just force migration down the conservatives' throat. That was definitely a quote that was said by someone in the cabinet at the time. I can't remember her name now, but the express attitude was, let's just ramp up migration ridiculously. And now we're seeing the consequences of that, unfortunately. Um, it's a really sad thing. Uh, we are not. I mean, France now. I mean, Europe is turning to the right. I don't think France is going to be able to pull the trick that they pulled recently again with
Well, what you've got
disallowing
is
Le Pen.
Poland have set a good example. Is a, you know, like we said in, I mean, with everything you need the comparative study, right? So you need the one place that's doing the opposite to everywhere else to see what actually is
Yeah,
the reality, and Poland is that in Europe.
yeah, um, yeah.
And the statistics show, don't they? They Eurostat, they show that they're sort of safest place in Europe, basically.
Sorry, what's that? Which place? Sorry,
Poland.
Poland. Yeah. Sure. Hungary coming close behind, I think.
Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, it's it's funny in a way that we've been the canary in the coal mine. People look from Poland into England and see what's happening, and just compute forward in time and say, well, hang on, we don't want that. We can't have that. That won't be. That can't be our future. We don't need that. It's
But I
it's
think
nice to have a
ideologically
degree of
they've
homogeneity. It's nice to be able to comfortably walk around and feel at home in your country of
but they've
birth.
got a lot of
Um,
history to sort of mean that the populace is behind them. So if you look at their history, they kind of they sort of got a lot of reason to want to protect themselves, whereas other
yeah,
places in Europe they haven't experienced that. So I think that's sort of what has allowed it to kind of play out that way,
yeah. I mean, they
because they
do have
could
that.
basically the population couldn't be gaslit.
No, and again, I think they see that we are already significantly down the road when it comes to, I mean, migration. We didn't have mass migration until about, well, until the 90s. Before then, you can definitely argue that it was nice. It's kind of been all right. It's been nice to have some level of migration into this country. It's been, it's added to our
Well, I
culture
mean, look,
in
there
some
always
regard.
was, being an empire. We kind of, and being an island, the two things we were really
Mm,
made up by a lot of different cultures. I mean, our language made up by sort of multiple, like,
mm,
uh, we had. I mean,
ethnicities,
we've got loads of
languages.
French, loads of different elements to what makes us up. So,
Yeah.
a drip feed of immigration just sort of is natural order for the UK, really, isn't
Mm.
it? But
When it doesn't, I mean, when people are required to integrate into cultures, into locales, into communities that are going to obviously accept them. This has largely been the state of things in this country for decades. That we all obviously had some problems going back with the far right, National Front, Combat 18, all this kind of thing. But no, I mean, when you have to, when you're required to really learn the language and fit in, then again, there's no real problem. Most of the people I know from migrant backgrounds speak English just like I do, and it's really
well, I
nice.
mean, the
Not
interesting thing
everyone by any
is
stretch, but it's
you
really cool to see people working. And like lots of people I know work hard. Some of them earn six-figure salaries. They pay their taxes and they do well by this country. And they
you
bring,
find a lot of immigrants that speak better than us in, well, I mean, the
yeah,
general in the standard of English in English population can be quite low. So you find certain
mm,
immigrants that are a lot better spoken.
yeah, man.
They're doing really well.
Just yeah, required. Parents are strict,
Mm.
strict, hardworking. Never let their kids coast in school. There were expectations put on them and so on. No, it's great, man. I really appreciate that. Anyway, I think yeah, we should probably I mean, I do like politics. I do like economics. I think establishing that there are patterns of behavioral economics and so on is so important. Learning what's happening on the international scene as well. Left and right kind of paradigm thinking just isn't necessarily useful, because there is always the stuff that goes on in the background, and that's what really dictates the zeitgeist. That's what dictates the way that countries evolve or devolve over time. Left and right is just stupid freaking names we put on this game we play in politics. I don't think it's useful, to be fair. I think a lot of countries that don't really play that kind of strong left right, you have to be socialist minded, you have to be more capitalist minded, freedom versus collectivism and so on. Obviously, we bounce back and forth all the time in the West between these polarities, and it gets us fucking nowhere. Honestly, if you look like other countries, they may be more authoritarian than ours, but they do think, they have a structure within the fabric of their cultures that tends to work for them. And even countries that have significant migration, like Singapore and so on, if you have a strong rule of law, which is reasonable, then your country can go about what it's doing and have a thriving free market and do really well and build and grow year on year. And I think that's really what we have to remember. Productivity is guided by the marketplace, and freedom in the marketplace is the best way to incorporate and grow productivity.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's becoming more apparent now is how you can get capitalism can, in its own form, especially with digital platforms like Amazon, they can become just like governments that can control. So there's this parallel with the extremes of capitalism and sort of political structures, and they are combined now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope not. I mean, I think we'll see how things work in the States with Elon Musk and so on, and Trump in the next few years. Because I mean, there are corporations that hate Trump. There are corporations that work well, I think, and do quite well by the public, and give a lot back and create foundations and pay a lot of taxes and stuff like this. Amazon, I mean, as much as we love to hate Amazon, we all have an Amazon app on our fucking phones.
No doubt, it's wildly efficient. It's wildly efficient. I mean,
but it's screwing with the high street. It really is. I see it all the time, man. Walking down high streets, realizing that half of these shops just aren't making money, and that's partly because of companies like Amazon.
The reason that Amazon has done so well was because basically they're a data analysis company. That everything has been done on data analysis and sort of driving it that way. So their efficiency is just, they know what you want to buy based on sort of what you look at. I mean, what's the story that they can know that a woman is pregnant before she does, just by the certain patterns of things she starts looking at.
Behavioral changes, that's it. Crazy, man. But I mean, it is concerning in a way, because we don't want humongous mega corporations that have everyone under their fist if they want. I mean, I don't think that's really necessarily the way these things are going to work, because corporations, as long as they don't get too much into the realm of politics and start pushing politicians around, then we have that clear separation of business with the state. And one of the things that fascism is corporations and the state working in fucking tandem. And it's always
the one way the one way to avoid that is to sort of make sure companies don't get too big. If there's more competition, then no one company is big enough to be a sort of all-controlling entity.
That's it. The natural way to do this is to have people voting with their money and going and putting their cash into the smaller businesses. And I think that has to be the way we conduct ourselves in the West, around the world. Like, we should be giving preference to small businesses where we can. The problem is, of course, that they can't compete with the big businesses. Yeah, that's always been the way. So it's only really wealthy people that get to go to those farmers markets and town markets and stuff and buy the items that are obviously priced above the stuff you can get in Poundland.
The premium
premium shit is really good, man. It's great. I love it. But it is premium, and it comes at a cost to many people. 60% of the population can't really just put their money in their pockets. Put their hands in their pockets and always reach for that better stuff. And when I say giving preference to those types of companies, what do I mean there? Well, I don't want to mean being invasive in the marketplace and saying, well, we have to now intervene in some way and make a regulation that's going to preference the smaller business. I think maybe that's a maybe somewhat viable way to do this, but it comes down to people wanting to make sure and maintain small business growth, and that can be very tough. There's a great book, by the way, called Less, by a fellow Londoner who owns a store in Savile Row, who talks about this voluminously in the book, and it's a great piece of work, because he's saying, like, everything he can do, and the materials he sources from the UK and very close to London oftentimes is it's great for the local economy, and the products that he's able to produce are going to be far more economical for people to buy in the long run than just going to Sports Direct and buying clothing from there. Good clothing lasts decades. We have to remember that, just on the clothing front. Like, we have so many opportunities here, though, and such so many, loads and loads of people I hear so much of the time are so depressed. Oh, London's falling apart, England's falling apart, the economy's in the shit, oh my god, blah blah blah. Like, no, it's not. It's okay. We have decent employment, purchasing power parity is decent at the moment. It's not great. Inflation's always on the horizon. No one likes that, but if we could just tweak a few things and keep government out of the way.
But over a long arc, things like Amazon start to siphon money off, don't they? Because you're Amazon is really like a high-speed trading firm, in the sense that every purchase they're taking a little cut. They make tiny profits on every sale, but it's just a volumatic thing. So I mean, if that happens over and over again, they're like a silo that silos off money. Yeah. So that money isn't flowing back into the local economy. So over a long arc, you are sort of devaluating
but they are they got a lot of different things going. And there are so many things that Amazon are now in, right? They have their stores, they have Amazon TV and Amazon Prime and stuff like this. They got a lot of control, man. And media, I think, were they trying to buy out, or have they even bought out big media firms yet? I know that obviously there's Amazon Prime and so on. They got the Amazon films and stuff, shooting films, whatever. But again, like, I'm brought back to this libertarian notion here that, well, if people are buying stuff freely, well, what's the problem? I mean, I am concerned that it's having a negative effect on people entering business, entering into the marketplace with their own small businesses. Amazon, as we know, can just afford to buy out small businesses, take them, dissolve them if they so wish, on a whim, just because. That's not so good. Anyway, we should talk about, was it 24 minutes? I don't want to be too long with this, man, but I think we have been talking about politics for the last 25 minutes, and my channel's about like esoteric lore and history and you know, and ancient Christianity. And
so let's switch it up then.
Yeah, man. This is really going to be a curveball for lots of people. Like, why are they talking about politics? I suppose it's because we just had the election, but yeah. So I've been having a lot of fun, but putting out a video every day. I'm assuming I'll be putting one out later on as well. I'm just getting to the point now where I'm having to think a little bit harder about what I'm going to do the video on, because these have been a real quick mishmashes of stuff that I've been writing about, and I've just been picking different things from 3 different books to talk about. And it's been really good fun, man, and I'm really loving the momentum. But what I'm hoping to do soon is to build, to really put effort into specific videos on certain really important components of the Christian story, and build out and really thoroughly source work so that people can go and think about these things, check the citations I'm bringing, so that they can understand, like, where there's a lot, we've come so far in religious studies in the last text criticism in the last few decades, and we're coming to this nexus point now, beginning to really understand that Christianity, just as an example, is something of it's running out, it's dying out. This is something of the last 2,000 years, and I think into this 21st century, we're going to be seeing a huge change in the way people think about the world. And I know we've had a revival of Christianity in the last few years, what with Trump and the Christian right and so on. We're having Christian nationalism come into the forefront of people's minds, and it's not. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, because we think with different minds these days. We're not mystical thinkers, and Christianity is a mystical religion.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people are starting to become more mystical in certain ways. I mean, certainly more spiritually minded.
Yeah, but I think the kinds of things we're seeing with thinkers who I mean, trying to think of some names here, Vivaki and so on. People who are actually being able to merge science with our idea of spirituality, and noticing things that mystics and thinkers, religious thinkers, have been talking about for a very long time. With our understanding of science, though, is something that can actually be done. Consciousness, where the notion of a collective consciousness, double slit experiments, the weirdness of our physical world, the strangeness.
Well, this is the thing, that medicine is based on essentially Newtonian physics, but it hasn't really shifted to encompass quantum physics. So if you say that quantum physics is a real science, then everything has to fall in, if in science you can't really have big contradictions, can you? You can't have one science saying this works and this is how it is, and then that doesn't apply to medicine. It has to all be in line with each other.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, I think, of what we're going to be discovering, I think, soon, and we're on the horizon here with this, is the notion that science can help to home in on, and with reproducible studies, replicable studies, and someone can actually home in on some real discoveries in the realm of humanity and consciousness, and that we might be guiding our own, anthropic, journey into the future here, and that God may not have been what we thought it was, that our notion of and our understanding of human will and spirit and so on actually can be reached. It's meditation, healthy eating, slowing down, learning how to organize your thoughts. The notion of past lives is even coming into, like, certain scientists are looking at. I know I read a book a long time ago by David Talbot about David Bowen's 20th century discoveries about the holographic universe. Michael Talbot, I've got the book right there. And in noticing some really strange and interesting things that go on sometimes, our ability to rise above matter, do things that should not be possible, freeze our understanding of what this human body can do.
Well, that's the interesting thing about when you're in a slightly, in obviously drug state or psychotic state, because things do happen which wouldn't otherwise happen.
And people being able to flip between two personalities, but one be completely pissed and the other be completely sober.
Saying about that, have you heard about the studies where they observed people who had split personalities? They could go out and get drunk and walk up to their car, sort of flip into another person, drive as if they weren't drunk, flip back into the drunk personality, and sort of literally in the different personality, their physiological state was different.
Tumors just disappearing, skin problems as well just disappearing. I think asthmas and so on. Michael Talbot there, and this book was very old. I mean, this is quite an old book now. It goes back to a long time ago. When this was I'll have a look. And there are so many other books now. 1991, this book came out. What's that? Like 30 years ago, 30-something years ago, 33 years ago. But yeah, we're getting to this. I mean, it's such an interesting time to be alive. We can do all kinds of things to hack our minds. People like Wim Hof, can go up Everest in his boxer shorts and then train other people to go and do exactly the same things. And with the power of meditation, of certain types of yoga and so on, to just hack the mind to produce amazing outcomes in the body. I think it's just absolutely phenomenal. And we're beginning, like, there's absolutely nothing that to stop people being spiritual and having a notion of spirit, of I wouldn't even say God, of the potential of man, even the idea of thalamic, Crowleyan thought of the control of man's passions and desires, and that man is God is in a sense in man, and that we are going to be able to learn how to express the notions here of God through ourselves. And where it's just unbelievable. The notion of Christ consciousness, of Gaia, of this beautiful union between forces and polarities in this world that were talked about hundreds of thousands. So
the really interesting question is, how was it talked about so long ago?
Yeah, well, that's why the Gnosis Revealed channel, hopefully, we should be able to establish, I think soon, some talking points, looking at certain old principles here, and old mystical principles that might be able to help us understand and go back and re-yoke ourselves to traditions that obviously people were resonating with, who didn't have the kind of knowledge we do, but had different types of, maybe were homed in and sensitized more to the human body. And
well, I think what they say about with I've talked to you about biogeometry before, And a lot of the discussion around how that evolved, or the knowledge evolved, was just observation, and also the fact that the human brain was in a different state earlier in our history. And now we're kind of very technologically analytical. We're not into a sort of, our brain isn't really in a natural state we're not in tune with nature. We're not observing natural
we become more mental, far more mental and individualistic, and we use a lot more of our neocortexes now. It's very probable that, I mean, our ancestors were more kind of, you know, the neocortex would have been smaller, so we'd have had far more of an impulsive reactional mode of operating.
I think people were far more sensitive. They were far more in tune.
One second. That are unconscious. So I think we probably acted in a way that was slightly more unconscious. But in doing that, we were more grounded in what was good for us, I suppose. And obviously what helped us.
Well, I think
times when things were a lot more difficult.
If you look at animals, they're very sensory based. They kind of, you know, they hear things that, you know, they pick up on vibrations, sounds. They're in tune. Birds are in tune with the weather.
Yes.
So animals are sort of more sensory. You know, they sense more than humans do. We kind of use logic to try and work things out, whereas they're more just in tune naturally with the rhythms of the earth and.
Our bodies are more, we're using this a lot more, and our bodies are less capable of really, you know, we can manipulate nature really well, but we have to use tools to do that. And we're doing amazing things, of course. But we're not we don't have the kind of skill in the quickness of other animals. I was listening, it was really cool, a theory about what we used to hunt and stuff, you know, thousands of years ago, and still to this day, I mean, people say we were capable of outrunning critters and outrunning deer and so on in the savannas of Africa and stuff like this. Well, today they've taken many athletes who are super fast runners and endurance athletes who run great distances, and they cannot outrun deer. They just can't do it. The deer just run too fast. It might well be putting that notion that people can do this into jeopardy, actually, because people say this, but actually doing it is another thing.
But there's, I mean, we're kind of rating humans on what we are now. I mean, it's very apparent.
But we haven't really adapted too much in the last 10, 15, 20,000 years, you know what I mean? And going back, I mean, if you take us to our primate, you know, ancestors they don't run too much. Chimpanzees and apes and so on, they're not really runners like that. We don't see them run much at all. And actually, a lot of the time, they're lazier than we are. They're definitely stronger upper body, but they'll chill out, man. They ain't walking, they ain't doing the steps that we're doing every day. Anyway, yes, talking about revealed gnosis, you know, so my background, I mean, my amateur background is more in sacred, and I think, as you said, like sacred geometry, the sacred in traditions all across the world. Our notion here of Judaism, of Christianity, where these ideas come from, how pagan ideas evolve over time, and how definitely lots of pagan ideas made it into Christianity. But there's a beautiful root there in Christianity, which talks about God within and Christ consciousness and sacred fluid and stuff like this oil, Christos, you know, oil, and how to raise this. And we now talk of Kundalini, you know, yoga and stuff. And this, many people accidentally, I think, have these types of experiences and end up having interactions with strange presences in their lives. And I think it's happening more nowadays. And I have to admit, like, I've I believe that I've had the same kinds of things, and there's a beautiful bridge here between the sciences, and I want to say, Madame Blavatsky with her, Jesus, why can't I remember it? Her anthroposophical and theosophical society, their emblem was truth is the highest thing. We must aspire to truth. Truth above all is our God. And why not? Why do we have to? We should never be fighting science and the truth when we find it. Christianity has been doing this for 2,000 years, and it's pathetic, and it needs to change. We can still call ourselves Christians. We can develop as Christians who see the moral, as myself, the moral import of lots of Christian ideas, not all of them, and say, look, we need to adapt and hybridize our understanding of religion now, so we can incorporate any number of things which turn out scientifically to be empirically true. Why not? What's wrong with that? Let's go. Anyway, that's the Revealed Gnosis channel. Now I'm putting together, and some people might have noticed that I'm putting other documentaries on that channel as well. There will be soon, I think when we hit 6 or 8 documentaries, I'll be creating just a documentary channel with my friend Kim, who Laurie knows, and we'll just be putting out all kinds of documentaries on hopefully all types of different subjects, because I am an aspiring documentary filmmaker. I've always wanted to be one, and now I'm coming to the point in my life where I'm very comfortable.
And to start off, that will probably be centering around the London area, wouldn't it?
Yeah, London. I've got quite a few projects already, and Kim as well has allotted a fair bit of time to, because he's a tour guide anyway, to various areas around London, people around London as well, historical figures that we can talk about for 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. We don't want these to be big at the moment, and we're going to be able to crank them out. Hopefully, the schedule at the moment is about one a week, or one every couple of weeks. So that's going to be pretty cool, I think. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
So you got anything planned with him next?
What's the next one? I actually don't know. I haven't talked to him. I think because I'm going away on Friday. We're not going to be able to do one this week. But next week we'll be making one. I've also been talking to the De Vere Society, and that's going to be awesome. So we might be doing some small documentaries or chaptered videos that might be able to be rolled into a documentary on the Shakespeare authorship question, which actually dovetails quite neatly into the esoteric and hidden, the mystery of Shakespeare, which is a beautiful story. The actual true author of perhaps, most of the Shakespearean literature, which is again now becoming, this is a real conspiracy theory, right? But we're at the point now when it can be proven, and I think it has been proven to many people satisfactorily, to a satisfactory degree. So that's going to be really cool. And I think there's nothing wrong with talking about conspiracies where we find enough evidence, because I have been known to be a bit of a conspiracy theorist in a previous incarnation. So that'll be fun as well. But yeah, history, religion, all things occult. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. Only 2 channels. I don't want to stretch myself beyond my means here. There's no point in devoting myself to multiple channels. It's just not worth it. Revealed Gnosis has been doing pretty well, I think. It's been doing all right. I'm happy to be working on it. And man.
A few censorship issues with the statue, I hear.
The statue? What's that? Well,
you said you thought it had picked up on the
no, there wasn't statues. No, it was
wasn't it?
Pictures of It was artwork from Mel Gwynn, that's the latest documentary we did, and there are a couple of topless pictures of her. It looks as though it was not picked up by the YouTube's AI, so I think we're all right, man. But they're really cool. They're only at the end, guys, so you're gonna have to watch it to the end to get to that good stuff there. But no, it was a really cool little kind of mini documentary we made there. I don't want to call it a documentary really, because I do believe you have to have interviews from learned people to really make it a proper documentary, or have something about someone who's in the frame and talking a lot.
So do you with the esoteric science and of where you want to go with this, do you want to do it like stepping stones so people can follow along?
Yeah, so definitely. And I've noticed already, a couple of friends have said, dude, you're talking above my pay grade, you're talking about things that I don't fully understand. This I think they've been correct in assessing this, like, because I'm so immersed in a lot of this work, it's kind of second nature to me, even though it confuses the hell out of me sometimes. I've got to rewind a bit and make sure that when I'm putting out bigger videos in chapters, that I hopefully are going to look decent, and they're not just going to be me in front of a camera. When I do that, it's going to have to be slowed down. Things are going to be expressed more clearly, and background is going to be given. They're going to be bigger projects, though. I am not going to be able to smash them out in a day by any stretch. But yeah, that's the plan anyway. I have some fairly big goals I want to achieve, given that I'm now scarily a lot older than I was.
Well, it only goes one way, doesn't it?
Exactly, man. But I'm happy that I'm comfortable now with what I'm talking about, and I like that. And I'm really stringently trying not just to be some kind of amateur that makes grand claims without backing them up. Everything I say will be said, hopefully with evidence, and everything I speculate about will be called what it is: speculation. When I want to conject, I'll conject, but I will call it what it is.
I think you do need to speculate, because you can't approach these subjects just with a rigid scientific or evidence-based view, because you've got to kind of project possibilities, because
true, but have them reasonably backed up by background information, so you're not Occam's razor, man. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important. But yeah, I love to speculate.
I think that's what moves you forwards, though, because if no one's speculating, no one's actually looking, right? So if you're not putting out a hypothesis, you're not then looking for the potential evidence, are you?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, true. All right, look, I think we should wrap up.
Cool.
But it's been fun, man. Our first proper dual live stream. I like this, and I can put this out in a bit, and it'll be my video for today. So
cool. I think we can refine a few things, and
yeah. But everyone's
audio's sounding pretty good, I think, after the little hiccup we had earlier.
Awesome, man. Well, I don't know what's happened with my lovely Rode, my little mic here. It's a really cool little mic, but I only found it under the sofa again like two hours ago. My cleaner was here, so I need this to work again.
So you on the wireless mic at the moment?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sounding pretty good.
Yeah, it's what I'll use from now on, man. And I will in time sort out the echo in this room as well.
It sounds pretty good, to be honest. I think because also it's picking up, being so close to your body, it picks up the resonance of your body rather than your chest, rather than just the sort of echo of the room.
Okay. Oh, great. Well, I'm really glad about that. That sounds great. Let's talk about some topics next time. Keep it interesting, insightful, and yeah, man.
Cool.
Cool
Speak
stuff.
to you soon.
Speak to you soon, guys. Later. Nice one.